Today we're going to be doing a simple male's haircut. You're going to need a trimmer, a clipper, a comb, and a cape. Now, your clipper will come with 8 attachment pieces. Today we're only going to be using the number 3, the number 2, and the number 1. 1 being the smallest, 8 being the largest. We're going to start with the number 2. I've already brushed through his hair to get it combed down in the direction that I need it to go. We're going to start with the right side of his head and work our way around to the left, and then we'll tackle the top. You're going to tilt their head so that you can see with the optimal light. Go in and pull up. Your clippers should be oiled so that they don't snag the hair, and it should run through smoothly. And when we come back around, I'll switch to the number 1 guard and we'll start the fade. This is the only haircut that I recommend doing at home, simply because it's very easy. There's not much you can go wrong with unless you pick the wrong guard. And the guards are labeled, so this is 1/4 inch on the number 2. Typically speaking, a male's haircut for me, even though I've been doing it for a while, as a licensed cosmetologist, takes about 16 to 20 minutes depending on the length that their hair is already at. His is only a little bit overgrown, outgrown, but not too bad. If you come closer, on this side, you can see spots where it'll look a little bit darker, where the clipper didn't quite catch enough of the hair there. Just run back over it. Go at different angles. Now we're going to put on our number 1 guard. And I'm going to extend this lever down. That makes it a 1.5. This is how you're going to start your fade. My client actually has somewhat curly hair, and he has a bit of, not a cowlick, but his hair grows into kind of like a widow's peak, but at the back of his hairline. So I'll show you afterwards how to go over that, because going over it the same way that you go over the rest of the hair won't look darker, like you didn't actually cut that spot, but that's just because the hair meets together, and as it pushes up, it creates more of a coloration that there's more hair there. When going around the ears, pull the ear down and tilt your clippers at an angle so that you're not creating a line in your fade. Then you're going to do this sort of a motion, kind of swoop up. And this will give you a really nice blend going around the hair, around the head, all the way around. We do a medium fade on him, so that's why my 1.5 comes to right at where his ears are, all the way to the back of his head. Right at the back where his occipital bone is, you'll feel the divot there, and that's how low or how high I bring the 1.5. Now to do the lower parts, I brought the lever back up so it's shorter. 1.5, 1. To just go in even closer, to his outer line. At the very end, we'll go back in with the trimmers and we'll make that line completely straight and square it at the back of his neck. If you're going to be doing this for the first time of ever trying to do a fade, I suggest doing up to a 1.5. Anything below that is going to be more difficult for you to learn how to blend. It just takes a little bit more practice. Come forward. At the back here, like I said, the way that his hair grows in like this, I actually turn my clippers upside down to make sure that I get that area completely. Now we're going to be switching to our number 3 guard. And this is going to go over the complete top part of his head. And though this area is still wide, once we do the 3, we'll go back in with a 2.5 to blend out the harsh line around here. He does have a pretty defined cowlick here, and I'll talk about that when we get to it, of going over it. Depends on how your client wants their hair. If they don't want to have to, they don't want to deal with it, they want it to lay down and not be a bother, then you want to go shorter. You want to go a half in the guard, shorter, so that the cowlick sticks below the hair around it. If they don't want it shorter and they have a longer hairstyle, say you're using a number 6 guard, which is fairly large, then what you would do is leave it at a number 6 and just do the whole thing, and they'll have to use gel to actually lay the cowlick down. Go against the hair, just the same way we did on the sides. We went up this way, and on the top, because the hair comes to the forward, you're going to go to the back. Again, because his hair is curly, you want to also go somewhat at an angle so that you make sure that you're getting every spot and he's not going to have any long hairs sticking out of place. Normally I would have a blow dryer and I would blow off the hair off of his face so that it's not sitting there and being itchy, because that can be rather annoying for your client. Now we're going to go back to the number 2. Make sure when you're putting your clips on that you hear the snap when you put it down, because if you go to clip, use your clippers, and it's not on there, what's going to end up happening is it's going to fall off and you're going to be just this, and this is a 0.5. And that's going to create a hole. You're going to have a big old bald spot right here. Now I'm using a 2.5, and I'm working out the line from the 2 to the 3, so 2.5 blending. You can buy clippers, pretty decent, good clippers off of Amazon for about 45 to 50 bucks. I think these ones, this is, I want to say a Wahl 5 star. I think I spent $60 on it, but just a little bit more expensive, nothing crazy. And trimmers will run about the same. And the only at-home maintenance that you'll need to do with them is to oil them, take them apart, and clean them. Other than that, they're pretty simple. Now I'm going to be switching to our trimmers. Again, I'm going to lean his head. When doing his sideburns, this little divot in his ear is where I like to form my line. So I know that when I come to this side, it'll be at the same spot. You don't want to have one sideburn shorter than the other, so that's a good way when you're forming the sideburns to know exactly where each spot is at. At this point, I'm just going around and making just a cleaner line. When you get to the ear, this part you really want to move and take your time with because it's very sensitive and you can cut them very easily. And then on the back, hopefully the lighting's okay. With him, we're going to do a taper. So we're going to bring the line into here. And then all this baby hair down here, we're going to bring up to here and make a clean line. Now you want to make sure that their feet aren't crossed, because if their legs are crossed, what's going to end up happening is your line is going to slant. So make sure that their legs are straight, their head is straight, and that you are parallel to them. If you don't have a cape to cover your client to grab all the hairs, you can use a towel, but I think these are like $10 at Sally's Beauty Salon. Again, on this side, because I'm doing it at the same notch, I already know where my line is going to be. Now moving to the front. Use my comb. Draw all the hair down. From the side here to the front. I can make a nice clean line. And that is your Simple Mills haircut.